Hi, welcome everybody. Today's meditation, I thought we'd just talk a minute about how we get addicted to certain emotions. So when we continue to think the same thoughts, the neurons in our brain keep firing in the same ways, strengthening the relationship between those cells which makes that connection more deeply wired into our brain. So it's easier to fire those same connections the next time. Nerve cells that fire together wire together. What we think about persists. If we have the propensity towards anger, we build stronger neural networks that support anger, and our reactions to situations become skewed towards anger. So redundant thoughts hardwire our brain into fixed patterns of neurocircuitry, into fixed patterns of thinking. They become our default settings, which means that we're creating the same experience in our lives, whether we like it or not, because we're thinking from that same state of mind. So as soon as we think a new thought, as soon as we start to change that neurocircuitry, we can build new neural networks very quickly, like in a matter of seconds, from new ways of thinking and learning new things. So if we can build new neural networks so quickly and easily, why do we get stuck in difficult emotions or stuck in the same kind of thinking patterns? Well, the reason we get stuck is because it feels really, really uncomfortable to think new thoughts, to think new ways of thinking. We have to, when I talk about our edge, that's what we're doing. We go to that edge, that feeling of discomfort, and we sit there. And we sit there just long enough so that we can feel it, know it's there, and our edge pushes out just a little bit. We further our edge, we push our edge because we sat with that uncomfortable feeling, that discomfort. So this is what we learn in mindfulness. We're interrupting this emotional chemical firing in our brain, this habitual pattern. We're interrupting that when we go into a mindfulness practice. We are making that habitual pattern conscious. So the research shows that approximately 70% of our thoughts are negative and redundant. So this means that if we don't make our thinking conscious, we're going to have a tendency towards building stronger neural networks that fire redundant and negative thoughts. And that definitely is going to hinder our ability to show up as our best self. So why we're doing this, why mindfulness matters, is we rewire our brain, we reduce the propensity towards negativity, and we give ourselves the awareness to see what's going on in our mind as it's happening. One of my favorite authors, Joe Dispenza, he says, the hardest thing we'll do today is think different than we did yesterday. And mindfulness is the first step in doing that because it gives us sort of a space. It gives us an opportunity to realize where our thoughts are going and the spiral down that we can get on when we just run with the thought. So, as I always say, let's put on our Nikes and just do it. We're going to power through some of the discomfort just a little bit. And remember, we're just going to go to the edge. We're going to walk to the edge till we feel the discomfort. And then we're going to sit there long enough that we feel it. And then the edge is going to push out a little further. We're not sitting there to the point where we feel overwhelmed or we're turning our psyche upside down. We're just pushing the edge and sitting back, and then we're going to come back. All right, so I invite you to close your eyes. We'll meditate for about 20 minutes, and I'll ring the bell when we're done. All right, find a posture that's comfortable, something that's upright, alert, but not rigid. Just relax into that posture. You can rest your hands on your thighs, maybe your feet flat on the floor. And just take a few deep breaths to bring your attention here, right now, in this present moment. connect with your breath or whatever else you're using as your anchor. The breath is one of those easy spots. We choose the place that seems most predominant, and we follow the breath in and out. Remember, there's nothing magical about the breath. The breath is simply our anchor to this present moment. Now, as we look at our propensity toward negative thoughts, we want to hold those negative thoughts with gentleness. There's nothing wrong with a negative thought. That's just part of being human. We just want to bring a curious awareness to that negative thought. When that negative thought arises, we might look at it like, oh, look at that, a negative thought. And then consider, wow, what am I afraid of? What do I need to see? What am I not able to see? What do I need to be safe? Is there something in my thinking that's keeping me stuck? Where am I stuck? Is it true? Is it 100% true? We just push that edge just to sit with that discomfort or that unraveling of our default settings. It's just a self-exploration. We're just becoming more clear about why we think the way we think. We're just diving in to understand with a little more insight. And then we come back to our breath. Remember, our breath is that anchor point, that home base. It's like that place of safety. Sometimes described as that emptiness. Empty meaning void of the push and pull of our psyche. It's just stillness. Stillness. As we rest in our stillness, we can go back to that edge and again ask ourselves, what am I afraid of? It could be fear of emotion, feeling a certain emotion. It could be fear of rejection or not being loved, of not belonging. It could be fear of this disease, this coronavirus, this fear that's perpetuated by the media. It could be the fear that's present because of the hardships financially that are arising due to this very, very large disruption of life. There's lots of very real fears. They're all real. We're just holding that for a moment and saying, yes, that's there. Yes, yes, that's there. Our goal isn't to change or fix these fears or the anxiety or whatever difficult emotion may arise, it's simply to be with it, to allow it. Ah, yes, there is that anxiety, or there is that fear. Here it is. And then we can gently investigate again. Is that true? Is it 100% true? Can I be with that? And as we sit at the edge of our comfort zone, it's important to remember to nurture our well-being. Hold tight. Maybe you imagine embracing yourself with a warm, fuzzy blanket and wrap it around your body, giving yourself a hug. Nurture your well-being. Nurture your intention to create insight and understanding. There's nowhere to get. There's nothing to specifically understand. It's just a process. And every time we give ourselves this curious attention to seek a deeper understanding, to seek greater well-being, we just have a slightly deeper insight, but we're not trying to get anywhere. We're simply being with our experience. You might feel warmth when you put your hand over your heart, just as a gesture of comfort. Your experience matters. All of these things we unravel matter. We're not pushing them away. We're just giving them a moment to express themselves to us. You might let the image dissipate of just wrapping yourself in a warm embrace, and then come back to your breath. Back to home base. If you feel like your mind is wandering, just put your hand on your tummy and let that serve as your reminder of your breath as your belly rises and falls. In the present moment, when we're really in the present moment, anxiety and fear subside. Those are future or past. They're not here. They're not right now. This breath, this moment. I'll ring the bell in one more minute. So let's just sit with our breath for about another minute. And when you're ready, please open your eyes. Well, thank you so much for being here. Thank you for joining us today. I'll see you tomorrow. I really love your comments and feedback in the comment section, so I'd love to hear from you. Have a good day. See you tomorrow.